I'll tell you one fucking thing. I hope we get fucking hotter than shit just to stuff it up them 3,000 fucking people that show up every fucking day.
Well, we got into broadcasting. It's something I wanted to do as a kid growing up in Chicago. I listened to WLS and WCFL day and night. And at that time, I thought I was going to be a disc jockey my entire life. But then as I got older and I got into college at Loyola University in Chicago, I decided, the news and the sports area, particularly sports at that time, was something that really hit my fancy. And I got an internship to WBBM FM radio. And as a result, was able to get a press pass to, all the sports teams.
Because if they're the real Chicago fucking fans, they can kiss my fucking ass right downtown and print it. They're really, really behind you around here. My fucking ass. What the fuck am I supposed to do? Go out there and let my fucking players get destroyed every day and be quiet about it for the fucking nickel-dime people that show up? The motherfuckers don't even work. That's why they're out at the fucking game.
And on April 29th, 1983, when the Cubs played the Dodgers, I had to actually look it up who they were playing that day, but it was 4-3. And the Lee Elia came out to pull out a pitcher, and there were only about 15,000 people on a weekday afternoon game. The lights had not been installed at Wrigley yet, and they were booing loudly.
They ought to go out and get a fucking job and find out what it's like to go out there and a fucking living. 85% of the fucking world's working. The other 15 come out here. A fucking playground for the cocksuckers.
And after the game, of course, the rant has been seen millions of times, etc. But the interesting thing that people forget about Lee Elia is he was actually a decent guy. He was decent with the media. He never flew off the handle to the media that I ever saw. And, was a halfway decent guy, but something got in his craw that day. The Cubs had been playing poorly. They were, I believe, 5-14 at that time. And he just went off. I missed the beginning of it. And of course, the famous story is Les Grobstein, bless his soul. We lost him a couple years ago. Recorded the whole thing, but I got in there about halfway through and had my tape recorder, but I didn't have the whole thing. There were about 4 or 5 of us there, no TV. It was just radio and a couple of the newspaper guys.
It'll take more than a 5-13 or 5-14 to destroy the makeup of this club. I guarantee you that. There's some fucking pros out there that want to fucking play this game. But you're stuck in a fucking stigma of the fucking Dodgers and the Phillies and the Cardinals and all that cheap shit.
And Lee just went off, and I just remember we were all red-faced because it was one of the funniest things we'd ever heard, ripping the fans, right? And ripping, coming out to day baseball, and it's a playground for the granddaddy of all swear words. And so it is one of the great moments, I think, as a reporter in history.
Right.
But people just thought Lee Elia was a real hothead, etc. And he got ejected occasionally, but no, to everybody around him, he was a nicer guy. In fact, I ran into him with my father later or earlier, back in 82, at Water Tower Place, and he recognized my face, and I introduced him to my dad. He was very nice, very gracious, and that's the one thing is a lot of people thought this was what Lee Elia was, and I was glad to see that on the what would have been the 30th or 40th anniversary that he actually kind of embraced it and made fun of it. He was pretty prickly about it for a number of years. It ultimately led Dallas Green, the GM of the Cubs, to fire him.